Hi, you're putting up a Doc T. Today what we're doing is we are going to be working with tiles. This is Slate that came in 12 by 12 stones, for lack of a better word, or tiles. And what we've done is we've cut them down to different sizes. These are going to go into a steam shower. And one of the problems is that they've got these right corners where they have been cut by the tile saw, and that's not ideal. So what we're trying to do is we're taking, and I'm using a grinder here to take off the edges of that so that you have a different kind of feel and a different kind of look. So if you look at this, and I don't know how well you can see it, if you just look at the middle of the tile, it's sort of it's interesting, but if you look over on this edge, this is an area where it's already been ground. Actually, I've ground all of these edges. And what it does is it gives you the opportunity to take out and leverage the advantage of those layers that are sitting inside of that tile. So there's a lot of different colors and layers of sediment that formed these stones. And what we're able to do is grind through those sediments to give you just a more attractive, more interesting tile. So there's a combination of practical reasons to do it, which are that you're not then touching that 90-degree edge, kind of softens that, I guess would be the term. But the other thing that it does is it brings out that beauty in the stone. And so that's what I'm going to be doing today. I've been doing it for several weeks, on and off as I have time, and trying to produce as many of these as I can. We started out with, I think 52 cases, and there's 5 of the 1 by 1 foot tiles in each. So we're dealing with, what is that? 250, 260 tiles, if my math is right, and I don't promise that. And so we're just taking them 1 by 1. Now, I'll show you some of the different types of things that we're doing with them before we start. First off, there's that size, which is going to be the primary for the wall. We've got this size that will be used in the roof and some areas for decorative purposes as well. We've got some bullnose, which is, that's going to be a decorative feature, and so that needs to be rounded on one side. I haven't done any of those myself yet. That's a sort of a sample to show me what it needs to do. And then we've got some other smaller sizes. And each of those need to be handled in a little different way. So these are going to be the floor of the shower, and what you'll see is we don't go deep with those cuts. There are some times when you'll get deep, but really we're just cutting off the edges because that is more comfortable than that on your feet. Same thing here, just knocking down the corners. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how I do this. I use all of the necessary safety equipment. Now that said, I do move my guard out of the way, one of the guards, but I do wear the glasses to take care of that. I'll be wearing headphones just to keep the noise down. Another thing that I do is that I hook a vacuum cleaner up to, this is the vacuum cleaner hose. I have that set so that it will catch most of the dust as it comes off. It doesn't catch it all, but it catches quite a bit of it. And so this is what I'm going to be showing you, is the working of how I'm using that tool to accomplish my goals here. So let me get my camera set so that you can see it. I think that does it. Yeah, that should probably take care of it just a little bit more. All right, now I'm going to start my vacuum and put on my noise canceling headphones, and I will walk you through this. It's going to get loud. So that's why I wear these headphones. And I need to get my mask. All right. So first things first, I need to turn on my vacuum cleaner. I need to check and make sure that it's been cleaned. And it hasn't. So I'm going to change the filter and then I'm going to be back. So as you might imagine, grinding slate down creates a huge amount of dust. And so what I do is I take, and I've just got a normal shop vacuum, and what I do in this case is I'll take a piece of, this is just a construction kind of cloth. It's breathable, but it's relatively small, but the air goes through it just fine. And so what I do is I wrap my filter in this particular mesh to create a pre-filter for the vacuum, because this filter would fill up just immediately if I didn't do this. So this takes some of the larger particles off, and then I can just take that and slide it over the mechanism in the shop vac that is designed to hold the filter. So I just take and put it on there, get it in tight, and then I screw this on to hold that filter in there. Now, in the case of this, it's creating so much dust that even with that, it clogs up pretty quickly. So I've added into the inlet, I've added another sort of pre-filter to just sort of knock it down into the bottom. But this dust is so fine, you'll see the process I use. It makes really fine dust. And so even that doesn't do a real great job of doing it. So you have to clean this out. I can normally get about 20 tiles in before I need to revise it. And what I'm doing is I'm just going to dump the sand out, or the dust out here, out my window. And clean that out. clean that out as best I can before we get started, because it is going to fill right back up, frankly. So let me just get this adjusted and then we'll get it started, because now we're ready to go. What I want to do is not reduce the airflow, so I don't enclose this section here, because you need quite a bit of airflow. The more airflow that you have, the better off it's going to pull the dust out of the air, obviously. So I'm going to close this. I think it's only about 15 degrees out right now, so keep those windows closed. Okay, so I'll get this put back together and we'll fire it up. Now what I did, you saw me blow that. I reversed the location of the hose from the outlet, which I used to blow it out, to the inlet, which will be used to suck in the dust. And it actually makes for a pretty easy way to clean out those filters when you're doing a job where you've got to do that a lot. And I've had to do that a lot. And you just change your tip to this particular one, makes it a narrower beam, so it's better able to blow out the dust out of the filter. And that allows me to just get a lot more time into these filters. And I've been through a few of them, but as long as they are able to be cleaned and put back to use, off we go. So you'll see I reconnected my vacuum hose to my grinder, and now I'm going to start firing things up. I burned out the switch on my shop vac, so now I had to change the wiring on that so that the switch is bypassed. So the only way I have to switch it on and off is by plugging it in. Already the dust is starting to come off of there, which
let's take a look at what we've got here. So again, you saw this at the beginning, and you see that the dust really covers the pattern, but when they get cleaned up, and then they'll get I don't know what kind of sealant, but there'll be a sealant that will bring out those darker layers. Let me take off my mask here. So you can see that it really brings out the beauty of that stone and the different layers, whereas before I did it, it looked something like that. It looks something like that. After you do it, you're able to really dig out those layers. Now, this happened to be, I got lucky. The one that I grabbed has some really nice patterns in it. And that's because of the layers that are on the edge. So each of those layers is a little bit different color, and they bring out the beauty of this, so that instead of just having a whole solid wall of sort of grays, you get to see the gradients in there, and it's really a pretty thing. And each one has to be treated differently. So here's a different kind of stone. These are natural materials. So this one is not going to look anything at all like that one when it's done. So we've got areas that are really soft and then areas that are really hard. And so they each grind differently. I'll look at the side of this to see what are the color gradations, because that'll determine how deep I want to go. If there's not a lot of color gradations, I don't normally go as deep. If I'm right on the edge, then I'll reach toward it. And what we're really sort of reaching for is, here's kind of the natural look of how it looks when it comes out of the pit on the edge. These are the edges of when it's been cut by the saw. And so that's what we're trying to do, is get rid of that hard edge, and at the same time bring out the beauty of the stone. So that's what we're doing. And you've been putting up a Doc T, and today we are putting up a whole bunch of dust as we are grinding down slate for our bathroom project. Peace.